Well, hello, what is up, guys? Mike Marlinsky here from the Metal Webzine. Welcome to episode 24 of All the Metal Podcast. Tonight we'll be discussing Pantera with Codi Newkirk from the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania band Whitethrash. I don't think Codi lives in Pittsburgh, but I think the band acknowledges themselves as being based in Pittsburgh. And this is a band, and this is a guy I met back in 2017 when I was on tour with The Last Rain. So, I know I'm back so soon, but we had this triple header planned for this week ahead of time. So last night I did thrash metal for the genre of the week with Greg from Fatal Curse. Tonight I'm doing Pantera with Codi from Whitethrash, and tomorrow night I will be doing a Metallica cast with Drew Celestino from The Long Cold Dark. And I believe that will either be my second or my third Metallica podcast with Drew. I know we did the S&M2 one because we were both there. And it's coming up on the year anniversary of that, actually. So I'm looking forward to the release of that and reliving that incredible concert. That was easily the concert experience of my life. So we'll be talking a lot about S&M2 tomorrow night, I'm sure. But again, tonight's about Pantera, so I will get back on track here. Pantera was an American heavy metal band from Arlington, Texas, formed in 1981. The group's best-known lineup consisted of the Abbott Brothers drummer Vinnie Paul and guitarist Dimebag Darrell, along with vocalist Phil Anselmo and bassist Rex Brown. In addition to their development and popularization of the group metal subgenre, Pantera is credited, along with others such as Testament, Sepultura, and Machine Head, for being part of the second wave of the thrash metal scene from the late 1980s to early to mid 1990s. Okay, that's enough from me. Let's dive into the conversation and give Codi a call.
Yo.
What is up, man?
What's going on, brother?
Oh, not a whole lot. How are you doing? I haven't seen you in a while.
I know, man. It's been too long. I'm doing pretty good. I just got off work. Nice nightmare day at work will just get you going, you know.
Right. Yeah, you're back to the grind. Do you have anything? I have 16 questions for you about Pantera, but do you have anything that you want to plug before we get started?
Yeah, the new record, probably Whitethrash's new record, Slam Barbecue. And just kick-ass people in general, as a whole. You know, just to all kick-ass people. Even if they're not kick-ass, but they think that they're kick-ass, I'm happy for that. You know what I mean?
Right. Because people with delusions of grandeur are still happy.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm happy that makes them happy.
Right. Okay, so are you ready?
I'm ready, brother. I'm shooting.
Okay. How do you feel about Pantera's early glam metal albums, and what are some of your favorite tracks?
Oh, dude. I'll tell you what, I love it. I'm not even gonna lie. I immediately loved it. My number one favorite track, and this is off the Power Metal record, is Pussy Tight, or PST-88, whatever. That song is just... Dimebag actually sings that song, by the way. That song is just full of power, dude. From the intro to the solo, you know, the solo's got kind of an A and B side, like he's talking to himself and answering himself back.
Right.
It's just, I don't know, I remember hearing it that night, you know, when I was a kid, the word pussy was cool, and it was like, sweet. And then the Metal Magic album is another one. I mean, I love Projects in the Jungle, but I really like Ride My Rocket, all those tunes off that. I mean, that whole album, Metal Magic, which is actually, I believe, with Terry.
Yep.
It's rad. It's really old Van Halen kind. You know, I dig it. I love it. Now, I know guys who are like, oh, this was it's not brutal, you know. But I think that some like, especially the Power Metal album would I don't know. I enjoy the power metal albums maybe a little bit more than like Reinventing the Steel.
Yep.
And the later ones.
Yeah.
But
because that was the Phil debut, wasn't it?
What's that?
That was Phil's debut, wasn't it?
Yes, power metal was Phil's debut.
Right.
He was young and in shape and was really hitting them high notes. He was getting it. And
yep.
I think that was now Cowboys from Hell was great, but power metal Phil really shined on that one.
Yeah, I like to ask people about the glam metal records because, there are still a lot of people out there who consider, like, Cowboys from Hell to be the first record or the first real record or, like, and then there are a lot of people who just don't know, so...
There's a lot of, and I kind of found out about it that way.
Yeah.
I had already been blown on Cowboys from Hell, and then, my older cousin was like, no, dude, we were all kind of guitar heads. So
sure.
There was never really we can't listen to this. It's chord, we were like, damn, it's killer. A little old school, but it's fucking killer. And that's how I found out about it. I was like, what? There's 4 albums before that?
Before Cowboys, right? Yep.
Thing to say, yeah.
Yep. How did you feel about Terry Glaze as a singer?
I like Terry. I mean, I think he's a good singer, especially for what they were going for in that. I don't think Terry could have ever made the transition that the music kind of made.
Exactly.
I don't think that he would have made that. And I kind of think, with all the books that I've read and read, I've been a Pantera fan since I could walk, but I kind of feel like he was already headed it, like he was ready to be like, well, I'm not doing it. He was already kind of like, why ain't singing like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He kind of knew that there was going to be a change coming.
Yep, for sure. No, I agree. I mean
I wish that I had that. He was probably a great front man. I mean, if you look at some of that old footage, he was doing his thing. Terry was up there getting down.
Yep.
And of course, that weighs into the decision too. But I do. I mean, on the albums that he's on, I don't think that anybody else should have been on there.
Sure. Right, but you're right about the transition, too. I mean, with everything that happened after power metal, like Cowboys through Reinventing the Steel, like, I don't think Terry could have done that music. The music changed, and, like, the vocals, there needed to be a drastic change with the singing.
Yes, yeah. Upon Vulgar Display of Power, now, of course, I wasn't quite old enough to experience them on their, in their time of when they came out. But as I found them, I loved Vulgar Display of Power because Phil, not that his high notes were gone, he still had pretty good range, but boy, was he fucking tough.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He just sounded like confidence. He sounded like fucking, Pantera, that was the whole deal. And I don't, like we said earlier, I don't think Terry could have been that dude. Phil looked like that dude. He sounded like that dude. So even some of the vocals, like, I kind of, into Reinventing the Steel and even kind of the Great Southern Trendkill, I feel like Phil maybe, I mean, that could have been the way they were going, but I didn't like how muddy the vocals got. I would have liked them to, I always thought Phil had a great voice, but who can carry one of them fucking voices on for that long?
Sure.
These dudes partied like rock stars.
Yep. What was the first Pantera riff or lick you learned to play on guitar?
Oh, man. I'll never forget it, man. We were, I was young, and I was totally listening to Pantera. I mean, probably every day, and I had all sorts of, like, little fake licks or whatever, faking them.
You were faking a dime.
My friend was over one night, and I was trying to play Cowboys from Hell, and he was like, hey, bud, let me show you that. And he showed it to me, and then from that point on, man, I just kind of started figuring out the riffs on my own. But Cowboys from Hell, right.
Yep.
I had that down. And then, I learned the rest of it, started fucking with the solo. But Cowboys from Hell was the first, to tune I started putting work in on.
Right. Awesome. Name your top 5 Pantera songs.
Boy.
I know. I hate those too.
That's a tough one, and I was thinking about that. I knew that was going to come up, and I was, thinking about it while I was cutting down this tree today. And, I'm going to have to say number one is going to be, and this took quite a bit of I still don't even want to say it because I've been thinking about it for so long. I'm like, are you sure, dude? But number one, and this might sound weird, but number one is going to have to be, for me, Drag the Waters.
Right. Cool.
There's reasons why. I mean, I love to Drag the Waters. Number one, it was a real easy riff, and then he hits that really bluesy lick, and the solo's amazing. I always loved how he faded those vibratos, with both strings, and he would pluck them out like Ace Frehley. And I really thought that song as a whole for me was just, it's still to this day one of my favorite ones.
Right. Awesome.
And I'm going to go ahead. Did you say something? Did I cut you off, Mike?
No, you're good.
And then in number two, and this is diabolically a tie. I mean, honestly, these two are a tie. But Psycho Holiday was the second riff that was the second Pantera tune I really took off on, and I just thought that was fucking amazing. It had that weird chunk.
Yep.
And that's kind of hard to do with your wrist, to really get that one on
It's
track,
a dime bag signature.
In the basement. And it was a short one, it's not really a super, super long song, and it had those super acrylic, licks in it. That one. And then Domination's going to be after that.
Hell yeah.
Just because, the solo, everybody loves the solo.
Oh, the outro of that song is insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even today, after all the music I've heard since hearing that song, which came out in 1990 or something, that, it still holds up. That outro is still insane.
Man. And you got to think about the build-up too, because he's ripping. They're on some BPMs on that tune, right before they drop it and just hit that E.
Yep.
And that was, we're talking a lot of bands who do the tempo breakdowns. We all do it. That was about the best medium of aggressive and groovy you can get.
Right.
So,
yep.
Not only did that riff make you want to punch a fucking hole in your wall, but it also made you bob your head.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the first, quote unquote breakdown, but it was one of the most influential breakdowns of the early 90s, and it came from a band who was kind of solidifying what groove metal was, and that changed the face of hardcore, and it changed metalcore, and all these bands do that style of breakdown now, and a lot of bands cite Domination because of that.
Yep. I mean, and not to take away from our discussion on Pantera, but a lot of the older bands were getting into that. And a band that I heard today that come across my playlist, the Life of Agony, boy, that River Runs Red album, they do something similar quite a bit in their verses and stuff. And some of them songs just similar to the Domination chunk, which is super rad. It's like one of those things that, I can make somebody feel something with an open chord on my guitar.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Yep.
Okay, so that was...
So you got 3.
Domination. We're on 2, right? Or 3?
3. You said Drag the Waters. What'd you say after Drag the Waters? There was one more before Domination.
After Drag the Waters, it was...
The second song you learned.
Holiday.
Yeah, that one. Yep.
And then Domination.
Yep.
And then I'm going to say Pussy Tight.
Yep.
PST 88, as it is on the album. And then number 5, I'm gonna have to say Hollow. I always loved Hollow because they really groove it up at the end of that song. I mean, they take that song from so many different. I mean, the beginning with the clean channel, and then he does that really bluesy, sick solo. And then they groove it up at the end. You know, there's a lot of stuff coming out in that song, and it's just full of emotion and great guitar work. And I mean, the band as a whole exposes himself in that song and many others, but that particular to me, really good.
Yep.
You know, and like eventually, now when you get to some of their live CDs, they were splitting Domination and Hollow in half and mashing them together in the set. Like,
did they do that on 101 Proof?
What's that?
Did they do that on 101 Proof or no?
Yeah, oh yeah, they do it 101 Proof. Answer me. He's like, can you hear Rex's bass? Answer me, can you hear the fucking bass? And they start the breakdown.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum. And yeah, they play that. Dime lifts the solo up, you know, and they groove it out, and then boom, right into Hollow. The end of Hollow, though, they don't play the whole tune. They just go right into that end part where they're grooving.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
And I'm not sure, but I don't know. I want to say there was something about Hollow that was tough on Grady and Dime. You know, they worked real fluid together, and I think there was some shit in that song that was maybe a little tricky to pull off live, maybe in some parts of it, but...
Right. Sure.
Seemed to be they meshed them together, maybe for time or technical reasons, but they're sick.
I mean, it was also a crowd pleaser. You know, everyone just wanted to bang their fucking head or mosh.
Absolutely.
Yep.
An absolute crowd pleaser. I mean, I love the fast thrashy stuff that Pantera did. The super, you know, the Sandblasted Skin and the Suicide No Part 2. Or maybe it was Part 1. I can't remember which part it was, but one of them was super fucking fast and fucking hostile and Strength Beyond Strength. All those tunes were great, but Iron had that bluesy feel.
Yep.
So on all these songs, I really loved it when he played to that.
Yep.
You know, real, like, dude can shred his brains out, but he'll smack you in the face with a pentatonic scale, and you'll be like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
He wouldn't mix them, too, you know. He would do a lot of mix. Like, you'll hear him lick a minor. He'll bust a minor, and then he'll kind of mix it with another pentatonic and give it that bluesy feel. Yeah.
Very, very original. He was very creative. You know, like, not all of it was about Flash. And Dime had a lot of Flash to him. But at the same time, he was just such a creative player that he had that signature in every riff and every lick and the way it was all conveyed in his writing and his style of play. Like, you could hear 3 to 5 seconds of any riff or any solo and you would know it was Dime.
Yeah, you'd be like, yeah, that's Dimebag.
Yep. And not even just Pantera, like Damage Plan 2, just like anything he touched, you know?
Yeah, well, his tone is so stinky, you know, like you were saying. All it takes is 3 seconds. Well, a lot of it was his tone, and I know he switched a few things up when Damage Plan started happening, but the dude's hands, I mean, all of our tones are in our hands.
Yes. Yep.
You know, whether you're playing an acoustic or a banjo or a whatever, you know, your sound really comes from your hands.
Yep, finger tonality, yep.
And he was good at that, you know. He always had those licks, you know, like you said. It was just, you could listen to 3 seconds of it and be like, oh, I know who this is. Or you might be like, is this Pantera? Or, you know, is this Damage Plan? Or, you know, it's pretty rad.
Right. What is your favorite Pantera album?
My favorite Pantera album is Vulgar Display of Power.
Yeah. It's banging. For sure.
It's a banger. I mean, and there's a lot of reasons why. I mean, number one, there's some riffs on that album that are just, oh my god. You know, like By Demons Be Driven, that the verse riff to that song is just one of the nastiest blues licks you can think of with so much gain. It just sounds perfect. You know?
Yep.
And the same, like, Live in a Hole, that tune is really, like, that's just one of them riffs that's like, wow, man, he had his own knock right there. He had his very own head bob for that one.
Yep.
You know, just super, super powerful album. Then it was a commercial landmine at a time. I mean, this album did great commercially. It did great.
This Love.
And, you know, in a time where shit like that wasn't very cool.
Right. Yeah, I mean, between like fucking Hostile and This Love, it was very successful.
Yeah. Even Mouth for War.
Yep.
That song did pretty good too. You know, and they took a big change. Larger Display of Power sounds nothing like Cowboys from Hell.
No, not at all.
Not vocally, not riff-wise, not...
They just threw, I mean, maybe, like, aside from This Love, they just threw everything into overdrive.
Yeah. Yeah, they cranked it. And then you watch the old interviews with them, they knew what they were doing.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
You know, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, because at that point it was like, hey, you like that? Watch this.
Yes, watch this. Check this out.
Yep. Mm-hmm. No, it's a great answer. Have you ever visited Dime's grave?
I have not, man. I have not made it down there. You know, I was in Texas once. I was in Galveston, Texas, I want to say. And I was young. I think I was like 17. I was down there looking at schools with my aunt. And I wanted to go, man, but it just didn't work out for me.
Right.
And, I still plan to make it, but...
Yeah, so do I. I haven't been there, but, like, I've been going cross-country lately, and, you know, one of these times I'd like to drive or at least stop, you know?
There's a handful of graves I'd love.
Oh, of course.
With, you know, there's lots of vandalism going on at Diamond Vinny's grave. You know, there's lots of shit. Plus, you know, there's just always a lot of people.
Somebody's gonna get fucking shot, you know?
Facebook groups. And there seems to be always a bunch of people there, which is awesome and great. And I hope that I get to make it there, but if I don't, you know, I'll be all right with that. There's that dude.
No, you're right.
Me forever.
You're right. You're right about the vandalism, and somebody's gonna get fucking shot.
Yeah,
one of these days.
You know, I mean,
especially down in Texas.
Yeah, like the dude was a party animal, and he did lots of. You know, I was a big fan of the home videos. I mean, I had all 3 home videos from the time I was 16, and they were on repeat.
Yep.
Constant.
Yep.
And we all know he liked to party and he liked to break shit and everything else, but this is this dude's grave. You know what I mean? Like, where he's buried with his mother and his brother.
Yeah.
I think we can quit writing shit on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's fucked up.
Yeah, it is.
Name the most memorable Dime solos.
To me, or just in general?
For you.
Okay.
I should have personalized that a little bit.
That's all right. I got it. I'm gonna just come right out of the riff, you know, right off of it. And some people might not know about this. This is back in the glam metal days, but it's called Dime Goes to the Movies. I don't know if you've ever seen it. You can pull it up on YouTube. It's called Dime Goes to the Movies, and it is just a Dime solo, you know, and he's got like on cheesy spandex. He looks like fucking Eddie Van Halen, but it is quite a serious guitar solo. Absolutely amazing. And it's not a song or anything. It's just like a dime bag piece, but it's completely amazing. And then I'm going to have to say, from the Rebel Meets Rebel album, there's an acoustic jam on there, so like Panfilo or Pamphilio or something like that, and it's, whoa.
Right.
You know, he kind of jams with himself, harmonizes with himself a little bit. I'm sure there's a couple guitar tracks in there, but that's quite a piece as well. And then there's, you know, the Domination. That one's That one's a big deal.
Yep.
And then Walk also, that's where we all learned that cool trick. Slide, use two fingers to slide down your D string, and that solo was also one that was just really, really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, they all were for me. Every single one of them. I could talk about every single one.
There's one in particular I'm waiting to hear you say.
Yeah?
Yeah. Any more coming to mind?
I like the Where I Come From riff, or the Where I Come From solo, and fucking Hostile solo, are the another two favorites of mine.
Yeah. I was gonna go with Floods, because the ending of Floods, like, when I was in high school, the ending of Floods changed my fucking life, dude. Like, it's so tough and powerful, but it's also a tearjerker. And I love that blend of emotions in there.
Yeah, Floods did that for me, too. I know Floods, that's one tune I jam on, and a lot of reason that song's lost that lackluster for me is I strive to get that out of my guitar, like we all do. You know what I mean? Like, you rip on that thing. As a whole, the solo's pretty tough. Now, that little fade out at the end.
Yep.
You get into jamming that, and that really pulls some emotion out of you, for music, and then you get to chasing it down. I punished myself my senior year, 2006, playing that song. And you're right. Floods is super, super impactful.
Right.
Super.
Right.
And it's just like you said, man. It's a tearjerker.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right, yeah, right up until the part you were just humming, the fade out, like that, the whole like structure of it, like it tells a story and it's very sectional, and I always liked that. I always thought it was really creative.
Yeah, man, and it was different for him at the time.
Very different.
Floods stands out. Floods kind of stands out into the rest of the other Dimebag shit because, well, a lot of the emotion he puts into his songs comes like in a bluesy way.
Yep.
Floods it had a bluesy feel, but that at the end was a little bit of genuine, when Dimebag wrote that, who knows what he was going through? Who knows what those guys...
It was a unique area of his personality because he had written, really dark, emotional, like evocative stuff before, like Cemetery Gates, for example, like that solo. Yeah. But you're right, that Floods was so unique, too, like, compared to everything else.
Yeah, it still stands up, like even the bridge before the chorus, that wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the whole layup to it is phenomenal, right?
Yeah. That song really stood out for them, especially with a catalog for Ash. Super heavy tempo breaks. And, yeah, Floods is an amazing tune.
Right. How did you feel about Damage Plan?
Man, I'm not gonna lie, I liked it. I did. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't super into it like I was the Pantera stuff, but I never once listened to a Damage Plan song and remorsed or compared to Pantera.
Mm-hmm.
I found that lots of people couldn't get comfortable with Damage Plan because they were trying to fill a void that was left by a band that was way more powerful.
Sure.
You have to...
There was never going to be another Pantera.
To listening to Damage Plan I was like, you know what, dude? Before you even listen, because I would ignore it. I wouldn't even listen to it all the way. I had to listen. I had to get ready for it. I was like, all right, dude. Before you get into this, just remember, man. These boys wanted to jam. You're not going to get on here and hear no Cowboys from Hell. This is going to be something different.
Yep.
From your favorite guitar player on the planet.
Yep.
And that got me going. So once I got that, okay, I'm not going to compare everything to this, or I'm not going to compare everything to that, and I'm not going to expect one of these. And I dug it. I thought the Damage Plan was really groovy.
Yep.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that the riffs were super cool. You know, the vocals grew on me. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't a big fan of the vocals at first. But
Yeah, they grew on me too, for sure.
You know, after a while, they really, really grew on me. I was even learning some Damage Plan tunes, like that "Fuck You" song and "Save Me," and it was, you know, Damage Plan was totally cool for what it was. And the coolest thing about it was Diamond Penny were having fun. Probably,
Yep.
They were probably getting into having more fun in Damage Plan than they ever were in Pantera. Now,
Yeah, all that stress was gone. All the Phil stress was gone, and you know the drugs and everything else that led to the demise of Pantera. All the drama was gone, and it was just time to like have fun and play music again. And like a lot of people were butthurt because of the stylistic change, but again, there was never going to be another Pantera. Pantera was the one and only.
That's it. That's it. And the other thing is too is, you know, Diamond Vinny were not your standard, I do this for the music type of dudes. Diamond Vinny loved money. They were businessmen.
Yep.
100%. They were great. They were great musicians, but they were also businessmen, and they were smart enough to know that if they got too crazy and tried to outdo Pantera, they could have ended up, you know, with some trouble on their hands.
Right.
They literally came out just like I said, hey guys, we're back and this is our new thing and dig it. Now, Damage Plan would have done, you know, in my opinion, commercially better if they would have had the time than your Downs and your, you know, Super Joint Rituals, because them boys were smart. Now, they weren't trying to sell music to a selected crowd. They were trying to sell music to everybody.
Yep.
Now, granted, it fit a certain mold better than the others, but they thought about that. And I always thought that was cool, man. Like, people would make fun of me, like, hey, dude, don't get me wrong. If you love music and you want to do this shit for a living, you gotta get a hustle, bud.
Yep.
You know, you might have to play a little song and dance. Not saying that they were playing a song and dance, but I'm sure Dime had some material that was pretty fucking heavy, you know. And he just wanted to jam and have fun. He was sick of waiting on Phil and Rex, and he was like, fuck it.
Yep. Sure. Absolutely.
And that took balls. The other reason Damage Plan was so cool, that took fucking balls. I mean, we can sit here and say that Dime was the baddest motherfucker on the guitar, or this person can say, well, Dime made the band, or Phil made the band, or none of that's true, especially for them dudes. You know, Dime and Vinny knew what they had with Rex and Phil.
Right.
That was magic.
Yep. Yeah, that lineup was magic. There will never be another one like it.
Back just as hard and try to outdo yourself, or do you? Zoe, shut up. Sorry, my dog's barking. Or do you just say, hey man, we're back, and it's, you know, Diamond Vinny like we've always been Diamond Vinny, and these are our new buddies, and we're here to jam you some tunes. And I think that was the coolest fucking way to do it.
Right on. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the brothers were the masterminds, and they had to pander when they had to pander, but other than that, there was no bullshit ever.
Right.
Right.
You know, I love it. Like, any one of those guys, when they talk about the studio work and the songwriting, it's always like, no, we try it.
Yep.
You know, like, you know, they'd be like, no, we try it. You know, they would try everything. So musically, they really work together well. I think that a lot of it just caught up with them.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
Non-stop touring and everything else. And I stay out of the debate, you know, like everyone's like, oh, this and Phil and that. Like, I stay out of that because
sure.
I think that that's nobody's business.
Right.
That's not one person's business of why those boys weren't talking and why they weren't a band no more. You know, them guys.
Life just catches up with people. There's always going to be drama in some shape or form. Usually politics, religion, and drugs, unfortunately.
Almost. Yeah. Almost always.
Right. Okay, so what is your favorite subgenre of Pantera? Is it groove, thrash, heavy metal, or glam metal?
Oh, man.
Your favorite era of the band?
I'm going to say my favorite era of the band is the groove thrash. You know,
Yep.
They gave me the most out of it. I want to say that the glam stuff to me is just like that cool fucking shit that you can kick on every once in a while. But my favorite era is going to be the era that most of us all love already.
Right. Oh, yeah. How do you think Megadeth would have turned out had Dimebag joined them in 1989?
Oh, man. You know what? If they would have just took Vinny too, I mean, I know that they had just got...
That was the stipulation, right? My brother's got to come too, right?
Wasn't it Nick Menza?
Yeah, it was Nick Menza. That's why Vinny didn't go.
Right. You know, and I remember Dime had a joke. He was like, yeah, I was trying to get Dave to give me health insurance too, since my brother couldn't come. You know, like funny shit. I think that it would have been weird, and I don't think that it would have lasted long, because they were just both of them so powerful. You know, Dave Mustaine really is a creative engine on his own. Now, I think the idea of it is fucking...
The idea of it is cool, but at that point it's a supergroup, and I think you just hit the nail on the head, and that's how I looked at it too. Like, Dave Mustaine and Dimebag Darrell in the same band, that would have been two alphas in a cage. And that's not necessarily a good thing.
No, not at all. And then, you know, and that would have really almost been like a Van Halen, David Lee Roth deal, you know?
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, who's the star here? You know, or well, not that Dime, and Dime didn't really ever care about that, but we all know his guitar playing. Now, we could both be wrong, and it could have been fucking sweet, you know, but...
Sure.
I'm glad that it didn't happen.
I'm glad it worked out the way it did, because, you know, because I like what Pantera did after 89, and I like what Megadeth did after 89, so I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
Yes, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Put together your dream show, including Pantera on the bill.
Oh, boy. Well, I'm going to say that to open this show up, the 4 bands, can I do a 4-band show? Like,
you can do whatever the hell you want. You can say Pantera plays alone for 3 hours.
Oh, man. Well, I would have to say I would dig for a Pantera show, man, and have like Power Trip open up, because I mean I know they're a newer band, but whatever, it's my show.
It's your show.
Yeah. Have Power Trip open it up, man, and then probably just go ahead and bring in them boys from Crowbar, just because I love Crowbar so much.
Yeah, there you go.
And then mush it up with fucking Exodus, and then Pantera. You know?
Exodus is an interesting choice for that. What era of Exodus are you talking? Like Bonded by Blood?
We're talking like fun. Let's say Tempo of the Damned Exodus. Can we do that, Tempo of the Damned Exodus?
Sure.
Okay. And then Pantera.
You're right. That's a good show. That's a good show. That has literally all my money. Yeah. Good bill. Name your favorite Pantera single.
I was talking to my dog. She's yelling at me. Sorry, buddy. Yo.
It adds atmosphere. I dig it.
The dog, yeah.
Yeah.
Barking.
That's what we need.
My roommate's out there bullshitting. All right, go ahead, man.
Good.
I can hear you.
Good. Name your favorite Pantera single. Single. Like a popular song.
Favorite Pantera single. Oh, buddy. I'm going to say Mouth for War.
Yep. For sure.
Video. And this is going to be a tie with I'm Broken, too. I mean, I'm Broken is another killer one. But Mouth for War was just a super chordy, almost punk riff. You know, it was almost like a heavy punk song.
Now, you know what? I'm going to, derail a little bit, and I'm going to tell you a quick story. So, a few months before we met, The Last Rain played a show in Rochester with a Pantera cover band. You probably know them because they're from PA. They're called Pantera, or they used to be called Pantera.
Yep.
So Pantera headlined a show, and it was at Pineapple Jack's in Rochester. And they left during our set. And like we went on right before them, and like they left during our set, and like nobody watched us, but like we had like this awkward interaction at the end of the night because like they pretended that they did watch us, but like they had left, and it was kind of funny. But you triggered that memory because you told me about, you had mentioned I'm Broken, and Brian had decided, like, we learned I'm Broken. And we learned, like, we didn't play the whole song, but we turned it into, like, a mini cover. Like, we just did the main riff and kind of made our own version of it. And we wanted to play that because we knew it was going to be a Pantera crowd. So we did that. We did our own mini version of I'm Broken. And, like, we looked out and, like, that band was just gone. And then I realize that's not a good story, but, like, shortly after that show, I remember bitching about that band. And then, we all remembered, like, the singer being a huge dick for some reason. And then, like, a week after that show, I read online that dude just disappeared. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do remember.
This is like 2016. This guy, like, they played a show, and, like, he didn't show up, and then they just never heard from this guy again.
Yeah, he just quit coming.
Right.
That's crazy. I've heard some, I mean, that goes with a lot of tribute bands, man. Some dudes, I remember, I won't say any names, but I've played with a few tribute bands, and I wanted to be like, hey, man, you ain't them, calm the fuck down. You're playing some songs, Some of them dudes get real bent, and then some of them rip, too. Some of, like, Pantera, they actually, I've seen a few live. I've never seen them live, but, just because I'm such a Pantera fan, the last place I want to go is to a Pantera tribute. I'm not the dude you want at the Pantera tribute show because I'm gonna be there ripping you apart. I mean, I'm gonna love what you're doing. I'm gonna support what you're doing because I think it's.
Oh, dude! Whenever I run into a cover band covering one of my favorite bands, I'm not enjoying it because I'm just critiquing it the whole fucking time.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's like. We we throw a Pantera song in the set. We'll throw fucking Hostile in there, and I even hate myself for doing it. I'll be like, don't listen. Maybe practice a little more. You know what I mean? He fucking plays that solo so quick, you gotta really be on your shit. But, that's just how it is with anything you love. When somebody starts to get onto it, it's like, all right, you got my attention now. Please don't ruin it for me.
Right.
So. But that's how that goes.
Yep. Do you think The Great Southern Trendkill is an overlooked and or underrated album?
I definitely think it's overlooked. I don't think it's underrated because and this is me speaking honestly. I think that they rushed that. I think that they knew that shit was going south, and they knew that this is. Reinventing the steel, of course, still happened. But I think that there's just a part of the Great Southern Trendkill that sounds forced to me.
Yep.
I don't know what it is. I mean, you got to think there's a lot of bad punky tunes on that. Sandblasted Skin, the Suicide Notes Part 1 and 2 were on there. One of those parts was super punk, super.
Yeah.
I noticed that Dime was just. It almost seems like in some of them tunes he was just trying to fill out time.
Yeah.
Have a badass solo.
Honestly, I love the title track. I love the title track. That's the one that. Yeah, that's the one that always sticks out in my memory when I think of that album. Is that chorus? Yeah.
Like the Great Southern Trendkill, and it starts off so strong too.
Yep. But no, that's a good point. It does sound rushed, and I was thinking about it when I was writing this up because I want to revisit it. Like, it's been years and years. I don't think I've listened to it since high school. So, like, I want to just sit down and take it in and, like, give it a fresh look and see if I feel differently about it,
Yep.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean, like, there was... there was a couple tunes on there that, and a lot of people, that's Pantera's album. You know, a lot of people, Great Southern Trickle is their favorite joint. I just feel that they had started to meet tension in the band.
Yep.
And things were being done just to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Keep the wheel turning.
Yeah, because at that point, that was when Phil was getting heavily addicted, I think, and they weren't sure. They were undecided as to the future of the band.
Right, they didn't know, and then they hear rumors. You know, it's like your girlfriend. Okay, you know, not to relate the two, but your girlfriend ain't hanging out with you as much as she used to, and then you're hearing from other people she's hanging out with somebody else.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
This is when Phil was getting into that. I'm doing drugs and I'm playing fucking music with other dudes, and even though I'm in a band that's selling millions of records, I'm not really.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because Down started at around the same time, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. You know, and I'm not gonna lie, man. I love Down. It took me a long time to really warm up to them.
Yeah, same with me. Same with me.
They had that NOLA, which is cool, you know, that really NOLA sloppiness, you know, coming from the guitar section, and you know, that was a different groove to get into, coming from Pantera. So when I'm like, you know, I would just be looking at Phil, you know, and thinking, hey man, what the fuck? Where's our next Pantera record? Why do we give a fuck about this? You know, but it is cool. I mean, I love Down. I'm not trying to sound like I don't like Down or anything, but I just couldn't understand why he was like uberly motivated. So was Rex. Rex went with him.
Yep. Yeah, like that badass lineup before they split in half. You know, there was Down and there was Damage Plan, and it was kind of an awkward time, but a lot of really cool music came from it.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, and like in Rex's book, which if you're a Pantera fan and you're listening to this, you need to read Rex Brown's book, because it is fucking amazing. You know, he was a relatively quiet dude, and lots of people are like, oh, his book's all bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's not really fucking profitable for him to lie. He could have wrote a book about what the fuck ever.
Right.
All of us Pantera fans would have bought it, regardless, you know?
Sure.
And I think that he, of all the people that would have written a book, besides Dimebag, is the one that I would have listened to the most.
Yeah, of course.
Because he was there, dude. Rex is, you know, we do always talk about Dimebag, but Rex was the...
Right.
That boy was holding it down.
And he had, and going into that book, like, he had a surprisingly objective view. You know, because everybody was so focused on the other three members of the band. And Rex was kind of like the forgotten dude, and, you know, Andy's a bass player on top of that, and there's a stigma or a stereotype about metal bass players. But for him to write that book as objectively as he did, and you're right, like, it's not going to be packed with lies, because think of the media backlash that would have ensued had it been packed with lies.
Exactly, you know, and it was, and I mean, Rex Brown's an old boy, man. That boy ain't got no reason to lie to fucking nobody. He already made his money. You know, he don't have not a reason to lie to nobody, and I feel that he honestly wrote that book because there was people like me and people like you that just wanted to know a little fucking
what the fuck happened, and more than just what's on the home movies, you know?
Right, more than just what's in the home movies, you know, exactly. Like, I think one of the craziest stories about that book is Zakk Wylde telling Eddie Van Halen to shut the fuck up. Like, I don't know if you read it or not, but he says, you know, they're all in line to go see Dime, you know, and everything else, and Eddie Van Halen's bitching about fucking Valerie Bertinelli in the line, and Zakk Wylde, like, leans over, like, hey, man, shit ain't all about you, you know, and it was just like, where else are you going to read that? Where are you going to hear that story? You know what I mean? You're never going to hear that story from anyone else but in that book.
Right.
You know?
Yep. So, imagine Pantera had continued after reinventing the steel. Describe what would have been the next album.
Oh, man. I think All the Boys running in tip-top shape, I think it would have been devastating. I think that if we would have, and this is me looking at it as the Great Southern Trendkill and Reinventing the Steel are the times where we got weird with production and we got weird with tensions in the room, and then boom, the album after. I think that the album after Reinventing the Steel, if we got all the boys on the same fucking page and got them all fucking tuned up and ready to go, gave them a couple years off from touring, they toured nonstop, I think that we would have got a record that would have obliterated everything.
Yeah, I think so too.
But
But attitude is everything. Like you said, they would have all had to have been on the same page.
Yes. I don't, because you put out records like that, you're going to have a couple where the band chemistry wasn't all there. This motherfucker was doing this and this motherfucker was doing that. You would have had a few albums where they just weren't clicking as good. Or, hey, we tried something in the production this time. But here, after Reinventing the Steel, we're gonna go back to the vulgar display of power formula and fuck everything up real quick.
Yep. Right. Did Pantera usher in the era of home videos? How did those behind-the-scenes looks at the bands impact metal culture?
Dude, hard, man. I mean, definitely for me. Like I said, I was watching them when I was 16. I had all three of them, 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
And it made metal fun. That's what it did for me. It made me able to laugh at shit. Have a good time. Not only be in a band with your buddies, but there has to be some kind of brotherhood.
Right, camaraderie. You can't just have it can't just be all business. It can't be punching the clock.
It can't be. Yeah, you can't. It can't just be all business. It can't just be all rips and BPMs and. No, man, you got to get out there. Them fuckers had fun.
Yep.
And that's what it helped me to do. I mean, I was throwing. Everybody partied at my house in high school. I was that kid. That nobody was allowed to hang out with, and and I was that dude because I fucking partied like that when I was a teenager.
Yep.
From watching the movies. Now that's probably a bad thing to say, but parents probably shouldn't let their kids watch that movie anyway.
Right. Yeah, and you saw it, and you were influenced, and then you threw some fucking parties, right?
Yeah, but it definitely. Those videos exposed one thing, which is what Dimebag lives by, which was make best friends in life, man. Make fucking friends. That's what them videos were all about. A little bit of jack-off sesh, maybe fucking bust some people down a little bit, laugh at them a little bit, but most importantly, make friends.
Yep.
That's one thing that dude was good at. He was friends with everybody.
Yep. Very likable. I mean, I only know from secondhand, but...
Right, me too. But you can, there's just something about watching them home videos, too, that was some genuine shit. Like in the one home video when he's busting up Boo's cars, and he let Bobby Tongs, I think he let, Bobby Tongs borrow some money. They bought him a little piece of shit Cougar. And then they get all drunk, and, I think they got to come into some money, and they knew, and they fucking trashed his car.
Yep.
And that was genuine, man. That's what them dudes were about. He was all about helping out his buddy. The only reason he trashed his buddy's car is because he's going to buy him a brand fucking new one.
Right. Yeah. And, everybody was coming into money, and it didn't matter.
Yeah, man. Let's have fun. It took thick skin. You could tell, but it was definitely something I would have killed to be a part of.
Yep. Oh my God. Yes. Big question now, is Dimebag's legacy more personality-based or playing-based, or is it both?
I want to say that depends on the person looking at his legacy. I mean, for me, it's personality and it's just playing.
I consider it both. I consider it both, for sure. 50-50.
Yeah. I mean, every musician has a Dimebag story.
Oh, yeah.
Every rock and roll, heavy metal, they all got a Dimebag story. And that's a big part of legacy. Not to mention the hard work that dude's put in on the fretboard, I mean, it's both all the way around.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one celebrity or one musician that ever toured with him come out and be like, yeah, Dimebag was a mean guy, and you know.
Oh, I've never heard. I don't think I've ever heard that.
Nope, not ever, man. And you know, so I would say a lot of it is just is definitely him playing, you know. But then as you delve deeper, you realize that dude just had a heart of gold. He was, you know, out there to make people laugh and entertain them and do his thing and keep it moving.
Yep. Right.
So it's definitely 50-50.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, cool. All right, final question. Although you didn't know them personally, talk about your fondest memories of Dime and Vinny.
Well,
you already mentioned a good one with Dime fucking up the car.
Dime fucking up the car is a good one, but Vinny wasn't in that.
Right.
I want to say it was one of Vinny's 4th of July parties. They all got fireworks. And early on in the day, Dimebag dressed up. He put one, you know, those like bucktooth little mouthpieces you would get, the hillbilly mouthpiece deals that you would put, and it'd make your teeth look all fucked up.
Right.
Well, he like dressed up, and he was Juan Bucktooth. And he was running around fucking with people at Vinny's party. He kept fucking with Vinny. Then he almost blew that dude's finger off.
Right.
You know, it was just super rad shit. Or when they, I want to say the fondest memory I have of those two, and I take that, what I generally first said out, is the Unbroken video at the very end. Dime is hitting, I want to say, every 8th note. He's hitting the crash cymbal with the headstock of his guitar. Now, we all know that's not the actual audio or anything, but the chemistry between those two and all of those old videos, I mean, they were brothers, but you can feel it. And the fact that dude was ripping that song and smacking the cymbal with the headstock and was in sync with the tune is just, that's a monument about that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great family vibe. You know, anybody can relate to that. Even people who aren't into metal music at all can relate to that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That feeling of brotherly love.
Yeah, and it's fucking thick, you know. Even in none of them home videos, you'll never see those two arguing or bickering or fucking any of that shit.
Right.
You know, but they also were dudes that understood that they couldn't do that in front of people.
Yes. Correct.
You know?
Yep, because they were businessmen at the end of the day.
Absolutely, man.
Yep.
They were not about that, and that was, I think, one of the things that really peeved them out about the, you know, Phil and Rex going to jam with Dime was that, you know, that's fine, man. It's a free country. You know, you can do what you want. You want to start a side project, but let's talk about it first, and let's do like a public thing. Let's take a break. You guys are doing this, which is what they had to do, but the Abbott boys had to do that.
Yep.
You know, Phil and Rex just kind of held them out until the Abbott boys were like, hey, we're going to take a break, and then eventually at the end of the break, along came Damage Plan.
Yep. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. And then it had to end the way it did. The brothers had to, you know, step in and make a decision and dissolve things.
Right, and as a family, you know, families do their dirty laundry in the basement. Nobody sees. You don't let your guests see your dirty laundry. You don't do your laundry when you got company over. You know, so they kind of washed a little bit of dirty laundry in front of all their fans.
Right.
Know? So I guess, you know, I can understand that.
Yep. Yeah. It's not easy work.
No.
All right, well, this was fun, man.
It was fun, man.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you're doing good. I'm super pumped on the book.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you checking out Drellick, and yeah, just all the support, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, man. You know I love you, bud.
Love you too, brother. I'm gonna pick your brain in a little bit about another band we could talk about.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm down whenever, man. I love music. Just let me know.
All right. Sounds good, man. I will talk to you soon.
All right, Mike.
All right. Have a good one.
Yep, you too.